Hi everyone, and welcome to our mortgage Q&A. With me, I've got Jason Simmons of EXP and Holly Dawson of Manchester Money, and my name's Nikki Davies of EXP. Just start with some brief introductions, Jason.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Jason Simmons, estate agent with EXP, based over in Sandbach, covering Cheshire East and North Staffordshire.
Holly.
And I'm Holly Dawson. I am a mortgage broker for Manchester Money, and I live over in Macclesfield in Cheshire. So I deal predominantly with Cheshire, Derbyshire and South Manchester too.
Thank you, Holly. And I live in Marple Bridge in Stockport, and I cover Stockport and the surrounding areas. So we're going to take about 10-15 minutes today just to discuss the sort of typical frequently asked questions that Jason and I get on a daily basis, and we work with Holly, and she's absolutely brilliant with our clients. Wouldn't you agree, Jason?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. So we just thought we'd ask a few questions. So first one is, when should you start looking at your finances? At what point during the home moving process?
Well, everybody's different, aren't they? So there's no kind of set agenda to this, but I always think it's advisable to start having a look at your finances prior to you actually finding a home or a property. Because let's say, for example, you could decide that you want a house, but then check your finances with a mortgage broker and it not stack up, you not be able to actually have that dream house that you actually really, really want. So it's always top tips to really sit down, chat about your finances prior to getting yours on the market and selling, or if you're first time buyer, prior to actually identifying a property.
Yeah. And Jason, when should you put a property on the market? When you found somewhere or before you start looking?
To be honest, predominantly it's always before you start looking. Only because if you find somewhere, it's almost counterproductive. You'll find somewhere, you'll rush, you tend to get a lesser price on yours because you're rushing to get sold. You tend to then offer more on the one you want. And I've done exercises with clients in the past, the whole finding first and then selling over selling first and then finding, it's almost 10, 20, 30 grand difference sometimes, because people are rushing to sell theirs. So aside from also not knowing, as Holly just said, what you can afford to buy on at, in the first place, people lose financially by actually finding a house before they list. So my advice is always to list first.
Yeah. So who can actually get a mortgage? So what age from and what age to?
So 18 upwards really, because you need to obviously be an adult, so you have to be able to sign legal documents, etc., and to be a homeowner. But up to any age really, because there are sort of later life products that are available as well, that through the Money Group, who I'm part of, they will be able to help. So things like equity release for, or later lifetime mortgages for people that aren't working anymore, perhaps retired, want to release equity, capital, things like that. So obviously everybody's circumstances are completely different, so it's just a case of having a chat with a broker, seeing what income and expenditure looks like, and seeing what the right path for each individual situation and client is really for them.
Right.
And Holly, with obviously the workplace changing at the moment and people's jobs tending to start leaning a bit more to self-employed, are there any mortgage options available for self-employed persons?
Yeah, self-employed people can get mortgages just the same as employed people. There are a little bit more kind of stipulations with regards to the lender's criteria. They do like self-employed people to be employed for a minimum of 2 years. But there are some lenders that will take, for example, latest year's set of accounts or a projection and things like that. So it really is just finding the time to just have a chat with a broker, and then they can best guide. Yeah.
Good news for us, AJs.
Absolutely. Well, and to be honest, it's a good news for a lot of people, because I think we're all seeing that self-employment now is becoming closer to employment, if that makes sense, because everybody's working from home. So people are getting used to that. and getting a structure from home. So yeah, it seems more and more people are taking the leap to self-employment. So it's good to know there's mortgage options out there.
Yeah.
It really is.
In terms of a deposit, how much do you need?
Yeah, so at the moment, when COVID hit, lenders dipped out of the market at 5% deposit. So I've not seen a return at that level at the moment. So the minimum is 10% deposit at this moment in time. Will we see the market return to 95% lending? Potentially. No one's got, I don't know, we've not got a crystal ball. I'd like to say in the future, but as it stands at the moment, really like hardly, I think there's maybe one or two unusual lenders that might look at it, but generally speaking, 10% deposit. And then to open the market up a little bit more, if you can get to 85% loan to value, then that's really good, and you've got a bigger choice of lenders at that point. So 10% will give you a small variety of lenders at the moment, but 15% deposit will give you more lenders to have a look at and fit their criteria and affordability, etc.
Mm-hmm. And we spoke earlier last year, Holly, sort of September, October time, there was a massive logjam of applications. I recall you saying that you were staying up till midnight sometimes to wait for a product to come live. Is that still the case? Is that still the case, or is that sort of jam past now?
The lenders have, certainly I'm a whole of market, so I can't really speak for any other brokers, but I'm able to deal with the capacity that I have and just set client expectations. So it's taken me a couple of days to turn an application from the first initial decision in principle stage to a full application. But lender wise, I'm not seeing that. It is a very, very busy market. Like I have never seen it this busy, to be honest, because obviously stamp duty incentive is still around at the moment, and that ends at the end of March. So everybody's pushing to try and get completed before that potentially may start. We don't know what the government's going to do with that yet. They may look to extend it, they may not. But I'm not having to stay up really late to be able to reserve a 90% rate. So I think lenders have seen that happen. They've kind of dealt with it, and then what they're doing is they're now kind of flushed out to their capacity. So maybe taking on more people. I don't know what they've done to resolve it, but I'm certainly not seeing that backlog as much now.
Okay.
So what are the finance options for first-time buyers? Can they still use Bank of Mum and Dad? Are there any sort of incentive schemes for them?
Yeah, so Help to Buy is still around, where you can get money from the government, essentially up to 20% to boost your deposit. So that's still around. Gifted deposit from family member. So I've seen family, mum, dad, aunts, uncles gifting a chunk of money to family, younger family. They can get on the property ladder as first time buyers. You do that still. You can also do applications called a joint borrower sole proprietor. So that effectively means that they can use, for example, daughter uses mum's income who's still working to boost the affordability on an application, but daughter just lives in the property. So there's lots of things out there. And again, everybody's circumstances are completely individual. So I just urge everybody just to speak to a broker and have a chat through things, really.
Mm-hmm. This is probably a question that's valid for both of you when I think about it. In terms of, obviously, business always used to be in person. It was either in somebody's lounge, it was in an office. It was always in-person business, and things have had to change. So I suppose, Nikki, from your point for valuations and viewings, and Holly for your mortgage clients, have you seen a sort of return back to a bit more in-person activity, or it's still very much virtual valuation, virtual appointments?
For me, people are still quite happy to have me in their homes, provided I follow, adhere to the government guidance. You've just got to be sensible about things and just make sure you're taking precautions. But in terms of virtual, nothing beats actually that human contact. The only thing that has sort of caught on and stuck is these video tours, and they're actually a real blessing, because it does ensure that people who are coming to view a property, if they've viewed a video tour, they're serious. And again, that has a double benefit in that, obviously, you're not going to get people time wasting, so to speak, and also the people who are coming are there, they're serious, and obviously that's protecting everyone during these difficult times.
Yeah, absolutely. How about yourself, Colin?
I actually don't think I've had a client ask me for a face-to-face interview or meeting since like June or something, like since the first lockdown. People kind of seem to be happy with the fact that, we'll do a Zoom, or they've got to post me documents, or I've not seen it where they demand me to go out and meet them or whatever, like lockdown permitting. They're just quite happy to transact online, basically, or over the phone. So
that's good, because it widens your market. So you could deal with anyone up and down the country, couldn't you?
Oh gosh, yeah, I've got clients in Leeds, I've got in Birmingham, I've got clients all over, not just localized to Cheshire. So it is really good for my business, 100%. But people are really happy to do everything or on Zoom, because it's really convenient as well. So it's not a case of 11 o'clock on a Monday morning, that's when it's arranged, because I'm whole market and I'm self-employed, so I can pretty much do what I want. I can speak to somebody at 8 o'clock at night on Zoom if they're working, they can't do something in the day. It's just a lot better all round for everybody, just a lot easier to transact online, and timing wise it's just dead easy.
Yeah, I think normal sort of working hours are slightly going out of the window, aren't they?
With the working days now, it's seeming to have become midday to 8. And not so much Monday to Friday anymore. More start on a Saturday, finish on a Wednesday, and Thursday and Friday tend to be the weekend. Yeah, it's certainly changed.
Yeah.
I think it's nice though, because you can be there when your clients need you, when they're to give you their attention. So it's just a lot better for them, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So there's a couple of sort of specific questions that people have asked me recently. Can you get an apartment? Can you get a mortgage on an apartment with cladding and potentially cladding issues? Is that something that, are they just unsellable at the moment? What's the?
It's not obviously
unmortgageable, and Jason, are they unsellable?
For mortgage wise, it's obviously not something that lenders are massively keen on, because of the implications of what could happen, obviously. But there are like structural reports and forms that can be completed on buildings, whereby if sometimes those structural reports are completed and the lender asks for them to be done, then potentially, but each case is just as it comes. It's got to be assessed, and each lender has slightly different forms and outlooks and views and criteria to be met. So it's not an out and out no, but it's a little bit more niche, it's a little bit more specific. Yeah,
and I think there was a second part of your question, is are they unsaleable? It comes back to, a lot of the time, if they're mortgageable. If something's mortgageable, it's a wider market. That's not to say that if something is cash only, it will still sell. It's just more price sensitive. As a rule of thumb over the years, I've learned that if something, for example, a 1-bedroom apartment's valued at 200, if it's cash only, it's almost 50%. So a 200 drops to 100, but you'll still get your market. It's just a smaller market to aim at.
Yeah. And what's a lender's view on leasehold properties?
Same as it's always been, really. There's no change there. So leasehold properties, they just want to make sure that the length of the lease is like a long period of time. So if there's 2 years left on the lease, it's not going to be very attractive for a lender to lend money on. And also just to make sure that it's a, you know, a double amount. So we have to factor in, is it £1 a month? Is it £2 a month? Is it peppercorn rent? What is the amount we have to afford for it in affordability calculations? But other than that, fine.
In terms of minimum years on the lease, Holly, is it still sort of, I've always known in my mind to be 40, 50 years as a minimum. Is that still about?
The longer the better.
Yeah.
Minimum, I've always worked to 99, but it varies.
Yeah, of course. Just
so what is the process of applying for a mortgage? So say someone gives you a call, what do you talk them through, and where do they go from there?
Okay, so from the first conversation, I'll be telling them everything about my proposition. So I'm not just here to, is your mortgage affordable? Yeah, great, there's your mortgage, see you later. It's very much, have you got your solicitors in place, guiding them through the process. So we'll do your decision in principle first with the lender, we'll make sure it's affordable. We're also looking at things like the protection needs as well. So for example, self-employed builder, if something were to happen to him physically, he broke his leg, he was off work for 6 weeks and he couldn't invoice somebody, there's things in the market that you can have where you can protect that income in an insurance. So we make sure that we look at the whole package and the whole financial needs that are there for clients, and then we stay with them as well throughout the whole process until they get the keys and completion, because sometimes solicitors need a little push, or you know, they need a document from the lender and offer's already been out, so I'll contact the solicitor and the lender, so just act as that intermediary really, just to make sure that everything runs nice and smoothly. So yeah, so we just talk them through the whole process and just stay with them the whole way.
Amazing.
brilliant. But Holly, I know we've bombarded you with questions. And this is it's a really cheeky one, and I promise going forwards I won't hold you to your answer to this.
Oh my god.
What are you thinking for 2021 in terms of mortgage interest rates? Is
Ooh, Jason.
Sorry, but I have to ask. Clients are asking.
Don't know is the answer. The honest answer is don't know. No one's got a crystal ball, but sure. I don't think that rates can change that drastically on a personal note, because the economy needs to like ride out what's going on. We're in unprecedented times, so I don't think interest rates will skyrocket, and equally I don't think, well, they can't really drop much more because they're really quite low at the moment, aren't they? So I think it'll just be nice and steady, maybe potentially little increments of increases over the next couple of years or so, but no drastic swinging, I don't think.
Brilliant. And I won't hold you to that. If they drop to zero,
they go down next week, I'm going to look at right one.
We'll delete this off the internet, don't worry.
No, thank you.
Well, that's all from me. Jason, have you got anything more to grill poor Holly on?
No, that's brilliant, Holly. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time today. I'll put a little link to your contact details on this, and indeed yours, Jason, and mine. Thank you so much for that today, guys. Really appreciate it, and hopefully chat again soon. You take care.
Yeah, no, thanks for your time.
Take care,
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.